Hello, and welcome back to Transylvaniacs, the unrelenting quest of two good friends trying to watch, consume, endure as many Dracula adaptations as humanly possible.
Each episode, we try and watch every Dracula movie ever made, from Dracula A to Dracula Z. Wow, you were right on the money with Endure with this one.
I was, and it's very exciting because today we have a special guest who we made endure not only the watching of this particular film, but the recording with you and me more than once. Mystery guest, please introduce yourself and tell us a little about yourself. Yay!
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Who who am I? Wait, I got this.
Wait, hold up.
I don't know. After this year and then the difficulties of coming back again for this, I'm just a whole new person. My name's Lan Pitts. I'm a comic book writer and entertainment journalist, reporter. I hate using the word influencer, but the most important thing here is that I'm a Dracaholic. And I'm a Dracaholic. You've seen my art on my walls. You've seen my book collection. We've seen Dracula Untold, and I feel like we're dedicated to the bit. And that bit is loving Dracula more than we love ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
And our sanity.
God, you're so right about that.
No person
Will,
with
go ahead.
Yeah, no person with a healthy relationship to Dracula would do this.
No. And Will, you had a good bit about our this being our second go around the sun here with this particular episode on our Instagram. You posted something very good.
It's not a bit, Colleen. This is
so sorry.
This is cold hard truth here that we uncovered truths. We delved too deep. And we discovered just how dark the dark universe gets. And someone, Los Federales, did not appreciate it very much, and they did what they're calling technical difficulties to throw a wrench into the works, getting the truth out to all of these other more well-adjusted Dracula fans who aren't watching this movie. But we are the light that shines from the hilltop here, and we're back. They can't silence us.
Wow, they really can't. Man, okay.
By they, do you mean big Luke Evans department of the government?
I was trying to come up with some sort of thing like that, and I was like, big vampire, big drac.
Listen,
big drac.
Universal just released their new. They just opened up their new Epic Universe, and they have this new Dark Universe section that's all the Universal monsters. And they don't need anyone. They don't need us damaging their profits by telling truth to power about what the Dark Universe was, what its horrible beginnings were. And they would stop at nothing. They've got to fill hotel rooms in Orlando, and here we are.
Mm-hmm. You're so
right. I'm just saying, follow the money, man.
I did follow the money, because I tried going to Epic Universe when I was in Orlando back in September. And what they do dynamic pricing, and Epic Universe was $150. With parking, that's an additional $32, which is a weird arbitrary number.
That's really bizarre.
That's almost Disney prices. So what ended up happening was just did Halloween Horror Nights. Did great. I think I did 5 or 6 houses and, rummaged through the Universal Monster stuff. But sadly, and so I'm going back in January for another show, my first show of the year. I'm done for a month, and then the cycle begins anew. And I want to do Epic Universe because I feel like the boyhood dream of meeting Dracula should come true. I'm an almost 43-year-old man, and I feel like meeting Dracula, the real Dracula, you know, because he works there, is very an important life moment to me as a person. I've seen videos, and um there was this Filipino woman who met him, and the Dracula at the parks at that day or that whatever was also Filipino, so they were like talking to in Filipino.
Tagalog, yeah.
I can't remember the name, the language. I don't want to butcher it, but thank you. My brain was like, it's
That's
tag along.
it's
I'm like,
so
that's
close,
not what
and
that's
that's how
supposed
I
to be.
read it
And
always. But I have a couple of Filipino friends, so it has been drilled into my brain.
I have several Filipino friends, and I always mess that up. So uh, they'll probably curse me for this, and that's okay. So, but to me, I feel like because I've seen the character interactions with Igor and Invisible Man and the Bride and Frank, but like, isn't that cool that you could just go to a theme park and just meet Dracula? I feel like that's pretty rad. I feel like 8-year-old me would have a conniption fit. Just like that's what I have to do. And so I was in for it, but I wasn't like $180 in for it. So I'm gonna see what it looks like in January. And if so, I'm like, fine, maybe Mr. Universal can like not be as expensive. I don't know. I'm going to see because one of my peers I think also can get a small discount. I just feel that is
Yeah, no, that's a
astronomical
lot. That's a lot of money.
for like and that's especially just what I want to do. I want to do the Castle Frankenstein ride, and I want to meet Dracula, and I want to flirt with the bride and see what happens. But like, these are simple things. These are
Yep.
simple all American dreams that I feel like shouldn't be uh, you know, cost prohibitive.
Here we are.
So, but here we are.
So if you couldn't gather from us talking about it a little bit today, we are taking a look at the 2014 film Dracula Untold. Lan, had you seen this movie before prior to us forcing you at gunpoint to watch it for the show?
Yeah, literally. I did because much like you two psychos, I'm all about the Dracula brand. So I saw it, wondered what I just saw, and then I think I saw it one more time just to make sure I got what I saw, and I still haven't exactly figured it out. Like, there's a lot to this movie that doesn't really say
It's
anything.
fascinating. I had not seen this before. I had not seen it before, and like, I think I always confused it with Dracula 2000. Um, and that which is like another completely insane adaptation that we've had a great guest, Teresa Roberts Logan. She's a comic artist, not a comic artist, a cartoon artist, like a cartoonist, and a stand-up comedian. So we really like to pick films that we know will inflict psychological harm. But yeah, I hadn't seen this one. I had very little knowledge going into it. Will, was this your first time, or did you see this before also?
This was my first time, but if I'm not mistaken, this thing came out right around the time that we graduated from college. And I remember specifically my senior year, I did a course, my first semester in Gothic horror, in the Gothic novel, and Dracula was in that course. We talked about that before. But I remember the trailer dropped while I was in that class, and our professor, Caroline Brashears, was just loved it. She thought this was the funniest thing in the world. So I remember the whole class just hooting and hollering our whole way through that trailer. And that was my impression of what this movie was for, about 11 years.
I mean, it's not exactly wrong. Yeah.
No, yeah, I was about to say you're not wrong.
Jesus Christ.
It's there was in capital A attempt.
There was an attempt. Yeah. So, okay, for the uninitiated, Will, do you want to give us like our cast and crew, and then I'll do like the briefest of brief plot summaries here?
Absolutely. So, our cast and clear, and we're gonna go a little off the rails. Not for the last time this episode, folks. because this is a different cast than what we're used to with our normal Draculas, because it's, as Colleen will, I'm sure, tell us later, this is like a prequel. We always love that, folks. So this movie was directed by one Gary Shore. I believe it was his first, I think this is his first bat as a director, pun unintended. I think I made that same joke last time. What are you going to do? I have a short memory. Our writers were Matt Sazama, Burke Sharpless, which is really great. That's perfect because this movie has no point. And then last, I mean, they credit Bram Stoker, but let's be real here. So our cast, as Vlad Dracula in this movie, we've got Luke Evans, fresh off of the Hobbit trilogy, I think, at this point. Sarah Galen plays his wife, Mirena, who's definitely not Mina, definitely not going to come back. Don't even worry about it. I think also fresh off of, like, bouncing around in franchise space, Dominic Cooper is Mehmed too, who's like our bad guy for this. I'm gonna be real, I kind of get outside of this movie Dominic Cooper and Luke Evans a little confused sometimes.
Very, very much. Well, I get Dominic Cooper and Dominic West confused just because of their names, but that's me being stupid.
Who else? We've got Art Parkinson as Ingas, who's sort of like, he's the Renfield. He's like a Romani guy who, like, once Dracula becomes a vampire, is like kind of hanging around, being weird towards him, being like, I'll do your bidding. And he's like, no way, man. And then, oh, excuse me, that's the wrong guy. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to give you false information. Zach McGowan plays Skelgim, who's our Renfield guy.
Right. Like, anybody would know that, but you're so fine.
Guys, I'm gonna be honestly, I have no memory of who Angaris is. I can't remember this character. I don't know why he was important enough for me to put him in the notes, but your guess is as good as mine about who Angaris is.
Maybe I think he's his, like, blonde boyfriend type. He's
okay,
like, always
is he
around
the guy?
In scenes, just being, yeah.
Okay, is he his, like, yeah, because they try and have him, like, have his lieutenant, who's like, you're out of line, but, you know, who cares?
Who cares?
And then Charles Dance, who really is making the round with a lot of these monster movies. I think, you know, Frankenstein had just come out, like the Del Toro, like right around the time we recorded this first time, playing the master vampire.
My God. Okay, weird time. So if you haven't gathered, this is a prequel. This takes place in the 15th century with Vlad Dracula, aka Vlad the Impaler, who is the Prince of Transylvania. He fears his territory is about to be invaded by the Ottomans, and witnesses a bunch of his generals get killed by a spooky thing in a cave. That won't come back later. Then, of course, the Ottomans arrive and demand, I'm saying this in a Dr. Evil voice, 1,000 boys for their army, which is also a joke I made last time, but it was just delivered so ridiculously stupidly in the movie, I cannot let it go. But because he was, served in the Ottoman army as a boy himself, Dracula does not want any of the boys of Transylvania, including his own son, to be forced into that sort of, child soldier life. So he goes back to the cave and meets the master vampire, who basically offers him his blood in exchange for temporary powers. He says, if you resist the urge to consume human blood, you will turn back into a human. If you don't and you drink human blood, you will become a vampire forever, which is kind of a cool take on the lore, but also as a gambit objectively insane of Vlad to do here. Then we've got just a whole bunch of battle stuff, and it's pretty boring. Eventually, he becomes a full-blooded vampire and introduces himself as Dracula. And then we've got a big time skip where we get the most annoying trope of all time, which we'll touch on later. But that's the long and short of it in terms of what actually goes on in this movie. And if it sounds like I skipped a lot because it's boring military stuff, that's because a lot of it's boring military stuff. Like, am I crazy, or did a huge portion of this movie just involve like talking about battles and then really bad CGI battles?
Yeah, it wanted to be like, again, I think we definitely touched upon this last time, but props to this movie for doing three things in particular. One, having an out gay man as a romantic action lead. Props, great. Did it work? Who can say? And you know it didn't, but who can say? And two, um, understanding that Vlad Tepes was a soldier, a general, a leader, a countryman. And then three, really wanted to be like 300, but didn't but lost the instruction manual like halfway and kind of just winged it. It's sort of like you got it. It's like a piece of IKEA furniture. You're like, I definitely know how to put this together. I saw this thing. I definitely know where things go. I got this. And then you end up like you want to make a Cadillac shelf, but somehow end up making like a toilet and you don't know how
I'm
it happened.
dying. I'm losing my mind.
So that's, but again, props for
Yeah, they
going
tried.
there.
They certainly tried.
Because they wanted to take it. Yeah, props for going there. They took, it wasn't just Dracula as like a horror movie. It was Dracula as like, no, his story is like on the battlefield. We can do that. But it's not going to go where you think it is, and no one's going to like it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, man, God. Okay, so I guess at the very most top level, I think we can all agree that this movie sucks ass, right? Like this, it's just fascinating to me because it sucks in such a specific way. Like Lan said, it was really going for something, but it missed the mark in a lot of different places. Like, I feel like had it just been shitty in one aspect, it would be fine. But this was poorly produced, poor visual effects, not great acting. The writing was weird. Actually, Lan, you specifically mentioned a couple things about the writing where you're like, you know, as a writer yourself, you're like, it's frustrating because I can see the outline of something interesting that just never makes it happen.
Yeah. Yeah, you could definitely see the bones of this movie. Like it taking like a scaling back, like scale back your watching of it. You can see the bones of this movie pretty well. And when I teach writing and tell my students, or like if anyone asks me for writing advice at shows, I tell them the fundamentals of this. Making a story is like building a human. And you start with the bones. You start with like the foundation of like making sure they're sturdy. Can this walk? Can this move where it needs to? Uh, um, you know, but are the bones brittle? And this thing, like, it had good enough bones to where you're like, okay, if someone told you the elevator pitch is, I want to make Dracula an historic fantasy action movie, you're like, love that. That has it. That cool, great, love that idea. Now then, you have to build um, the muscular system on that, and you're like, okay, it's got to move, it's got to make sure it's strong enough to like walk. It's got to, it's got to be strong enough to lift its own, its own weight. And that's where, you see this thing kind of walk and it's like, okay, it's getting there. And then you do the connective tissue, and then you do the nervous system and the blood vessels, and that's like the dialogue and like the story narration and like how everything's kind of putting together. And then that's kind of like where this Frankenstein thing kind of like falls apart, because it's borrowing pieces from other things that worked, but the body is rejecting it. So It's rejecting like this transplant. Like I said, it's like it wants to be 300, but didn't know how to be 300. And so you're taking those elements, you're taking like that body part, or let's say like this liver of 300 and like a heart of um let's say Kingdom of Heaven. And you have like all these kind of things that you think it's going to end up being and looking like, and the body is just shutting down and rejecting these transplants pretty bad. And that's what it is, because you can definitely see like, oh, I thought that's going to go one way, and because that makes sense, and they're doing like these swerves, and it doesn't work. There's a few cool things I feel like they showed where him losing control, because we only have 3 days, right? We have 3 days to make sure he doesn't lose control, and we feel like that tension rise. Like he's looking at his wife, and he sees her like cordial veins and shit, and you're like, okay, this is going to be like a whole thing until like he eventually loses it in some way,
But I
right?
feel like it just like that was so frustrating for me because they literally
But
had that one fucking scene.
it didn't happen. Because it didn't happen.
It's like that like 3 days thing is so like kind of folkloric and storytelling, where it's then they just like never bring it back. It's so weird where like the central conflict of the movie is touched upon twice, once when it's introduced and once when they've decided it's over. It's really, really bizarre. Yeah, Will, you mentioned to Lan and I when we were gearing up to record this for the first time that you had an epiphany about what went wrong with this movie. Can you explain?
Yes.
What that was?
I had
because
had
you were
my
very excited. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Let's roll. I'm gonna roll the tape back. I think for me, the thing in this movie is so I'm gonna dip into the my production list a little bit. When they were doing like the press junket for this, the director Gary Shore had this quote where he said, uh, "Anybody who's going to the film expecting a horror film is going to be sorely disappointed." For me, it was telling a story. It's trying to tell a good drama that has action adventure elements to it. And I mean, he's certainly right about people being sorely disappointed. But I think the wider issue that I see in this movie, the one that it is of the many flaws, the one that goes straight to weird, its weird clogged heart, is that he wants it to be a drama, and yet there are no stakes. There's nothing real in this movie. Because what we mentioned before, they really don't do anything with this 3-day thing. They don't do anything with him being like really tested, except for like, his wife was like, "It's time to have a sex scene," and he's like, "No, blood." But the problem is like he's never truly tested. There's no real agony in being a vampire, and I think you see a lot of the plus sides because he goes and he did levels and full like squadron, like a full battalion basically on his own in this like right after he gets vampire powers, and it's that same kind of like 300 like mid 2000s video game kind of aesthetic where it's just like, here are your abilities, you've unlocked turning into a bunch of bats, you've unlocked vampire vision, and it is just like him tearing through people, and it feels very video gamey. And so it feels like, oh, there's sort of these pluses, but there's no real downside to this. Nobody ever, he kills an entire battalion by himself, and none of his people are like repulsed by this. No one ever really comments on it. His wife, I think, and this is one of the, I feel either should have been like repulsed by him being a vampire or like way too into it. Like, really. Yes. And I think the problem is she's neither. She's just kind of there. With all respect to Sarah Gaden, she's just sort of like, is just designated wife, supportive wife. And there is there is no actual drama in it because it's afraid to pull any punches whatsoever. And I think what made me think about this is like right as I had around the time we watched this, I had was like just finishing up reading Interview with the Vampire, which I loved it, but so much of it is about that isolation of being this thing that experiences the world in these kind of dramatic, beautiful, overwhelming ways, but there is very little else like you. And even the other things that are like you are never going to like fully comprehend what you're going through. And so I think there's a fountain of drama in becoming a vampire and becoming like the vampire, like the number one guy of vampires. And it just doesn't do anything with that because it just kind of wants to be like fake bullshit emotional beats for like a bored 15-year-old to watch.
Yeah, and it's like I think it is telling of any adaptation. The test of, okay, if this wasn't an adaptation, like if I removed the adaptational element from this completely, would that matter? And like if this wasn't about Dracula and this was just a war movie set in, the Ottoman Empire, would it change a lot? And it kind of wouldn't. Like it doesn't matter that it's Dracula because it's less interested in it thinks it's interested in the character backstory, but it's really interested in being kind of like a 2010s war movie. You know what I mean? And it that I think has to do with the stakes as well. I kind of thought that both visually and script wise, this felt like YA to me. Like I think that you could have played this side by side with like the Hunger Games, and the beats would have been almost identical. And of course, a lot of that is like standard blockbuster filmmaking. But it's just funny to me that they went about this as this is going to be their big benchmark for the new Dark Universe. This is going to be like a cool, sexy, slick action movie that's also for the history nerds, that's also for, horror nerds. And there's a bit of a gap between the seriousness of the ambitions and, the professional level of the actual product. Did anybody else feel visually that there was like a lot lacking in this film, like from like a filmmaking standpoint? Yeah, like Lan, I don't know. I know that most of your background is writing, but like, am I crazy or did this just look like shit? Like, it kind of looked like shit, right?
I do like the precursor with my background writing, but then I do like the assumption. You ever just see a bad
You
movie
guys just see a movie that
and
sucks.
like I think
No, you're so
you ever
right.
see
You're
a
so
movie
right.
like I know you're writing, but like you ever just see a bad
You ever
movie and
see a
I
movie that
feel
looks like
like
garbage? Yep.
no,
Yeah.
never. This is the first bad movie I've ever
Well,
seen in my
it's kind of an
life,
honor to be involved in
and
that.
I had nothing to compare it to. I had nothing to compare it to because it's a brand new experience for me, and so I, no, but I feel the scale given and the scale provided, it should have been more what it wasn't. And I do like the note 300 core and freeze frames are a choice because it really because I don't know what he was going for. I don't know what he was going for at all because there's I like that. We'll go with baffling because he got the vibe down and he understood what he wanted to do. Again, this is where sort of like the the film golem you're making and um or whatever, the movie man you're making kind of like comes into play because it's not pretty to look at. And it's got, there's no like this thing you're making has like bad skin. It's just ugly. It's got busted teeth. It's got meth mouth. It's got, weird eyes. And like, I don't know. There's definitely parts of The later battle. We have the first battle that basically sets the stage, and then you have the later battle with him actually in charge. And it's boring. And I'm not saying that in like a like let's just compare. I like your note about Two Towers. Because this definitely felt like what he wanted to do with that grand sweeping scale of um, the battle before the writers of Rohan get there, right? And so everything felt so claustrophobic that I didn't care what was happening because there's nothing to compare each shot to. And so it was just cutting back and forth. And so you can't really see the grandness of what he was trying to do. Instead of it's just back and forth close ups. I don't know. It was boring. It felt very film school 101. And that's the thing. And I feel no one intends to make bad art. And we're looking at the potential again, and it sucks because what's worse, a bad movie or a boring movie? And this kind of does both.
Yeah, it has the unique dishonor of doing both of those. And I like your note about the direction specifically in the action scenes, because I feel like people don't realize how hard it is to both direct and edit action. There is a great YouTube channel called Folding Ideas, hosted by Dan Olson, who is a fucking genius. But he has a lot of film expertise, and one of his more famous videos breaks down the editing in the first Suicide Squad movie.
Oh man, banger, absolute classic.
Absolute banger. But one of the reasons that's so compelling is because there is a failure at both the large scale and the shot-to-shot level. And I kind of feel like we see that in this battle scene where it's hard to actually track the movement, but it's also not exciting. Like, you have to put shots in a sequential order where you get this building arc of tension, but also make it from like the moment to moment, microseconds at a time, that people can accurately track the action on screen with their eyes. Suicide Squad, amazingly bad at that, to the point where like you see people walking in frame on one side and then, breaking the 180 rule on the next. But yeah, this was kind of tough because I feel like these were such centerpiece scenes for what this movie wanted to be. And then on the other hand, I think, like Will said, it wants to be a drama, but isn't willing to do a lot about that. And I think a lot of that failure comes down to the scenes where it's just Dracula and Morena, or just Dracula and his son, because we haven't really gotten to know them like as a family unit. Like we open and are kind of immediately getting plot, which I appreciate. I do like a film that gets things going, but I feel like we didn't spend enough time with these characters in their intimate one-on-one scenes. And that's also pretty damaging to the film as a whole.
Right. Like we see, I don't think he was trying to be
I think that's a valid point. I think it was trying to be a war movie, and it failed on the drama front also.
Yeah. Right. Like it wanted to be an action fantasy. And whatever sort of relationship the family dynamic, his past, being a boy soldier and then him coming back, like all that kind of stuff takes a back seat to him having free trial vampire powers.
Oh my God. Sorry, that phrasing just really got me. That's exactly what it fucking is. Jesus Christ. Please continue. Continue.
Yeah. You can cancel after 3 days.
I'm lying. Holy shit.
Well, I'm lying. And the war part, him becoming a nation's leader, all of that kind of takes a back burner like all the family stuff takes a back burner to that, and it's sort of like, man, you really could have had like, so when we get to the end, and spoiler alert, wife dies, and I don't know. Again, I think we talked about this last time. That's the worst trope
Oh,
I
it
hate
sucks
Yes.
so
of modern
much.
day Drac shit.
It sucks so much. Please tear into
Like,
it as much as you like
give
because I
Drac
hate it.
give Drac a wife. I hate Dracula having a
Me
wife.
too. It
I
sucks.
hate he's supposed to have his his harem and his like friends with benefits that he feeds babies to and stuff, and that's it. Like, and then he has like his boy toys, his stupid little brain dead boy toys, and then he has his footman. So like, him having a dead wife, Coppola did a disservice to all of us by creating this canon that doesn't exist.
Yeah, and it's annoying.
And
Like,
it
sorry, I'm
sucked
so sorry
every
to cut you off.
time.
Please continue.
No, just keep on, just chime in. Just chime in. I'm going to talk over it, but just chime in and be like, yeah, that sucks. It's fine. It does suck. It sucks so much. And I don't know what to do about it because we're getting a remake of Coppola's version next year with Luc Besson, and that guy's never going to see heaven. So it's sort of like, it's like, do I support that? And I was like, I don't know. I don't think I have to because I fucking seen this movie. So like, I'm sure it'll be pretty. Yeah, I'm sure it'll be pretty, and I'm sure. But like, man, look, Dracula is not a love. Like, Dracula can be a love story to an extent, but it's not. I would never say it's a gothic romance. I would never say that. It's a gothic horror because of everything that happens in the book. So I so I would never. I don't know what else to say beside that, because you do have people who are like, oh, his thing with Mina, his like, you mean his obsession with Mina? Dog. Like, he's feeding on these women. He's a monster. He's not in love with these women. That's what Coppola did. He made he made him in love with Lucy, because, and then I was like, oh wait, that's just Vertigo. Like, it's, that's just Vertigo. And so I was like, man, damn, I don't know. Like, again, 92 Drac is like in my top 5 movies of all time. It's beautiful. It's it's atmospheric. The aesthetics are off the scale. It's it's definitely just, I don't know. It's I wouldn't say it's a perfect movie, but it's a perfect movie for me. Like, I would never say it's a perfect movie because there's a lot of things of this that just make no sense. And again, I feel bad for Keanu Reeves, who isn't even mentioned on the back of the VHS release. They mentioned Anthony Hopkins because he was coming off from Silence of the Lambs. They mentioned Gary Oldman, and they mentioned Winona Ryder. They don't mention Keanu Reeves at all. And that feels really weird to be cucked by your own movie. So, like, I I feel for him because he did take a barrage of bullets on this release, saying he's like a weak point. And you know what? He's fine. He's perfectly fine in this movie, playing the stupid himbo husband who gets kidnapped by this man who, I don't know. Again, Harker's dumb. Hey, please
He is. He's not the
please
brightest. Not the
write
brightest.
please write these letters to your friends and family, telling them you're having a great time. Oh, and post date them, please. And that's completely normal behavior from anyone. And I'm like, sure.
Whatever. Whatever you say,
You
man. Go
know,
for it, bud.
that's who we're dealing with. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Again, we could talk about the book also. And again, Coppola leaned into Lucy and Mina's relationship, because they definitely explored their bodies at some point in time. Like they did. Like they did. And that's, great. So I don't know. I don't know. I feel like also he leaned into Quincy and his cowboy and his Texas ways, because Stoker was obsessed with like the traveling Buffalo Bill Wild shows. And so it's funny because he just made him a caricature. Like I'm pretty like, again, I can't speak for a dead drunk Irishman, but like I feel like he was stereotyping Americans. Like I'm pretty sure he thought like 90% of Americans were just like this. And that's fine, because we've come full circle to where we kind of are. And this movie, I feel like Untold doesn't touch upon. I said this earlier in this, and I'm going to try not to be repetitive so we can knock this out, actually get it in the chamber and fire it way into the internet. So I'm going to try not to repeat myself as much. But going back to what I said earlier, this movie does a lot, but does not say a lot, or I don't know. There's movies that talk at you and talk to you. I couldn't understand what this movie was saying.
Yeah, that's a great way
And
of
it's
phrasing
looking
that.
right at me.
Yeah. Nope. And something, like you said, that's also frustrating, because you brought up the book. There is a monologue in the book where Dracula kind of gives some backstory about his family. I'm not making that up, right? Like there's a whole section about some like very brief military history.
Yeah, they go into it, the history of, of his people and of the Boyars and the and the triumphs and the like pains of his people. And he sort of talks about it as if it is like his ancestors, but you kind of get the sense that he means himself because he's that old.
Yeah. And like that's a fun, justification for going this direction with this movie, of like there is that element to the source material, but like Lan said, like it doesn't really have anything to say about it.
No.
At all.
Oh, and that's actually one of the things that we ran into this a lot when we were talking about the TV series recently. That drives me insane is when you deviate from the source material to create something that is less interesting than the source material. And I think the best example of this is they create this backstory that draws a little bit from the book, but it mostly just sort of makes up this stuff that is just so boring and so blasé and so nothing. And there's more interesting backstory in the book that they could have just drawn from. They have this whole thing where he talks about like the Scholomance and how there is like an underground school for like 13 students and the devil just takes one of them instead of graduating. And you go back with magic powers. And it is like very briefly mentioned in the book, but like, if you're going to go back and look at all of the stuff that is in Dracula that you could pull from for an interesting prequel, you're going to leave that out, but then be like, yeah, he got like free 90-day vampire powers from a dude in a cave. That, like, why?
Why the cave? Oh, man. And again, I get they're going for kind of like a Slavic folklore thing, but it doesn't match up tonally with the rest of the movie. It's really odd.
I will fix it for you right now. I'll fix the Slavic folklore thing because apparently, so the two, or at least a couple characters cut out from this that are supposed to be in there. One was Charlie Cox, Daredevil, Matt Murdock himself playing Caligula. Sure. And then the other one was the actress Samantha Barks playing Baba Yaga, who's supposed to be in this movie. And you know what? I'll rewrite this on the fly right now. Baba Yaga is like at the center of the Scholomance. You connect. There's like a root of this like ancient Slavic magic that uh Vlad in it, like coming back from being this child soldier. He's like, never again. I must defend my land. I must like go into the roots of the earth to find the power to defend our people. And you have him go to this like evil magic school with Baba Yaga, and then you don't have to have this bullshit like go with this other bullshit route.
Yeah, no, that's pretty good. Yeah, I would watch that. Oh man. Okay, so obviously we've given our reviews, which are, boy, this is a tough time. What were the contemporary reviews of this? Like, did people like it? I know you gave that one quote earlier, but like, I'm curious as to how this went over with the 2014 movie-going crowd.
So, as you might expect, pretty middling to poor reviews, mostly praising Luke Evans and some of the action. Simon Abrams, writing for RogerEbert.com, wrote, "First, some good news. Dracula Untold, a sort of Batman Begins prequel, isn't as tacky as it sounds. There are glimmers of a brooding and icky horror epic scattered throughout the film, particularly in surprisingly romantic matte painting-esque backdrops and impressionistic vampires' point-of-view shots. But that leads me to the bad news. If you step away from Dracula Untold long enough to describe it, you'll realize how soul-crushingly unimaginative it is." And then I've got the other one that's a little... the best that they could do, the best review, still just sort of said it was like a good movie to watch if you're like on an airplane. But I'm gonna highlight this quote from Richard Corliss of Time magazine, because he really hammered home this like Dracula as Christ analogy in it. That's right. Dracula is a little bit Jesus and a little bit rock and roll. Like the Christian Messiah, Vlad spends part of his childhood in a foreign land, not Egypt, but Turkey, before maturing into an idealist and a freedom fighter. Choosing to die, to be undead for the salvation of his people, Vlad endures a cavalry of sacrifice, and spends the requisite 3 days between crucifixion and resurrection. The difference is that for him, the resurrection as a vampire in training comes first. He'll pay later. And I think, I'm sorry, Corliss, but like Dracula never he didn't come out of the tomb and just slaughter 1,000 Romans, just turn it into rhythms. And I feel like that's kind of a big difference between what Jesus' whole deal is and Dracula. So I feel like maybe this is actually a flimsy analogy.
Well, I mean, the only thing, yeah, I think the only thing is they have in common is you can't even say they're, well, I don't want to bungle my geography because I wouldn't say Vlad was Mediterranean, but he wasn't white? Question mark?
Yeah, Eastern Europe. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, he was? Okay. I don't know. I'm trying to remember,
I mean, it's Ottoman. Turkey's kind of like the border,
He's got that sort of thing
Europe
that
and
I've got as being part Greek, where
Yes.
it's sort of what we would call ethnically ambiguous.
Yeah. You an immigrant, Bob? Just swarthy then.
yeah, something like that. But then they also came back from the dead, and I feel like that's sort of where the comparisons could stop. But then you also realize that they both had wives, and they both had followers and disciples. So maybe in that aspect, yeah, and they both get weakened by the cross. I don't know. I feel like that's messy waters to try to navigate, but that's an interesting comparison. That's the first thing that pops in your head. Yeah, Dracula. Oh, very much a Jesus guy.
Oh yeah. No, I think we gotta stop talking about how he's a Jesus figure, which whatever. Anyone who dies and comes back is a Jesus figure. It also makes him an Odin figure because he hung on the tree. So, I mean, it's all a wider mythology. And we gotta stop talking about that. We gotta talk more about how if we're gonna do anything related to like Christianity or like Christmas, because we're going around the corner with that, how, you know what? It's not that Dracula is like Jesus, but it is like that Santa is like Dracula because let's look at the evidence here. Uh, Operates at night. When you see him at the mall, it's just one of his helpers. Oh, he's got like helpers and familiars all over the place. He needs express permission to come into your house, say cookies and carrots left out for him. Yeah. It just seems to be ageless. You know, let's again. I at the risk of getting shut down by the feds again on this episode.
God. So usually when we do these, we kind of take a look at each cast member person by person, but I think we can kind of just do our main four here, which would be Dominic Cooper, Charles Dance, Sarah Gaden, and Luke Evans, just because there's not a lot going on otherwise. What did y'all think of our guy Dominic Cooper as Mehmed II?
Forgettable. Like, again, this cast, they want to make Luke the focal point. And again, great to that because Luke's great. He's a well-rounded actor. He can do a lot of things. I never believed anything in this movie about him. And the fact that Charles Dance is unfortunately maybe the most memorable character in this thing should probably tell you everything you need to know about the casting.
No, you're so right. One of Will's notes that I liked a lot was, "Is this our straightest Dracula?" And it feels bad that they made Luke Evans do that, but it's like he's trying. They don't give him a lot to work with, and there is some really completely non-existent chemistry between him and Sarah Gaden.
What's the opposite of chemistry?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of that. That's exactly it, though. It's like anti-chemistry.
Yeah, it's an anti-vibe.
It's no good, man. And like, she also tries. I think Evans is better than she is. I think he has some moments that are interesting. Sarah Gaden is like, am I crazy? Yeah, go ahead, Will.
It's like, do you remember when you were a kid, like, hang out with your friends and you're like, we're going to make a potion, and you just poured like all of the liquids that you could find together, and instead of like making a concoction, it just turned like brown?
Yeah, I'm autistic.
You just made a brown liquid. That is the opposite of the chemistry. It is just like brown liquid.
It's brown. Yep. Yeah, it's tough because their scenes are almost painful. Like it's not awkward. It's just like they're talking past each other.
It is all very perfunctory. It is like, my fantasy Ren fair wife, who I love.
Oh man, that's rough. But yeah, Lan, you're very right that Charles Dance being the most memorable performance for what is a two or three scene role is like pretty telling. And he does great with that. He chews the fuck out of that scenery.
He really does.
It's almost like he's in a different movie, and that movie's better. So,
whatever movie he's in is pretty good. It is not this one, unfortunately.
It's not this one, unfortunately. Yeah.
One. Yeah, I don't know. It's yeah.
It's tough. Do you have any insight as somebody who's seen this twice? Like, did you find yourself looking at? Did you like anything that you actually liked more
as
the second time?
Only
or were you
person,
like, it's even worse.
As the only person in the entire world to watch this movie twice.
I have to make sure. Right. No, I just have to make sure Charles Dance gets his residual checks. So there. I've been, there goes my cover. And so, I don't know. I feel like there's definitely, I knew what to expect. It went by quicker the second time. That first time was, I felt like it was, I think I said this last time, but it felt, the pacing was so slow. It felt like a documentary filmed in real time. Like wouldn't, it just wouldn't end. And I don't know. I didn't know what to really expect besides, oh, cool, new Dracula property, and I'll give it a shot. Cool, love it. Um, and I don't know. I don't know what to expect because you hear rumblings of, oh, this is Universal's. They're going to try to make a connective universe between these two properties, and you're like, that shouldn't work. But then you remember it kind of did. You know, I mean, it worked to a comedic. You know, there's Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, Frankenstein meets Dracula. They didn't really meet. Like it wasn't a cordial gathering. Um, so I don't know. I was optimistic, and then you feel bad for Charles Dance, who has the last line in the post credit trailer about like, um, what is it? Now it begins or some bullshit. Yeah, and
Like the game begins, I think.
the game begins. The
No,
game
come on.
the game didn't even start. It's and you feel bad because they were really writing on this, and I don't know. I feel like any would be franchise that sets this up in a way where they do something like that kind of deserves this treatment, where you can't just make a movie. Just make a movie. Just make a movie. And if it and if it like do one good movie. Do one good movie. Don't announce a universe. Definitely don't announce a universe before the movie comes out. Like, if it does well, you're like, oh, here's the potential of what we could do here. So, again, you feel bad for when they did this 3 years later. They're like, oh no, this is for real what's happening. Tom Cruise is the mummy. Russell Crowe is Dr. Jekyll. Javier Bardem is Frankenstein, and Johnny Depp's the Invisible Man. None of this will come back and bite them in the ass. Of course not. Like, and then not only did it bite them in the ass, it just took their whole ass. It just took their whole lower body. No one
Right off.
Like they never recovered from that.
Is a particularly bad case of being cut in half.
Yeah,
Yep.
this is a particularly
fucking
bad
brutal.
case of someone being cut in half. Yeah, you know,
Good Lord.
the wrong Dracula died, and like it sucks. It sucks all around that this had to happen because again, you see the potential, and then you see what they did, and it's like, man.
Yeah. Is there anything that, like, are there any moments in this where you're like, actually, that was kind of good? I'll give that credit. The only one that I can think of for me is towards the very end, he just starts willy-nilly making vampires out of villagers to keep fighting the Turks. And I was like, that's actually kind of badass and cool, but it did feel a little like I was getting surf Dracula'd. You know what I mean? Where I'm like, okay, well, here's my 5 minutes of surfing at the end of the fucking season finale. I thought that was fun, but alas, did either of you have a moment?
Yeah, no, that's what we talked about last time. Is he gets these powers, does not use them, and then at the end he finally hangs 10 and cuts loose, and you're like, oh, man, we could have had fucking 90 minutes of him being like a fucking vampire. We could have we could have had this. We could have had him like, and again, that whole thing about like him battling the darkness and shit. Like that could have been more prominent. It could have been more present. It could have been more, but they wrote themselves into a corner with the fucking 3-day shit. And it could have been, I would have liked to seen, he's like, you know what? It's a real test. It's a real test. 3 days is nothing. But like, it could have been like maybe a week or something. And you see him like, it doesn't start as much, and then like it intensifies, and he sees like he gets into a battle, and he's like, oh, I am really powerful. Oh man. But I can't like, I see all this blood everywhere that I'm taking from people, and like I have to make sure it doesn't get on my face. And so maybe he like builds fully protective armor in a way that like makes sure he doesn't get any blood on him, that he's being very, very safe with this. And it felt lackadaisical. Like, what horrible night for a curse. Oh, whatever. This is fine. I don't. That's my cool. But I will say again at the end where he actually becomes Dracula. That's cool. It's cool looking. Um, it's a fun time until it's not.
Will, you had one specific scene that I recall you liking also.
Okay, yeah, I think for me, there's a scene right at the end where like Dracula is like found Mehmed, and he has his and Mehmed like lures him into his tent. He's like, I have your son, and he tries to free his son, and Mehmed like traps him in this tent, and basically like he like scatters all over the ground like all of these silver coins that they had collected as like a tax earlier, and it becomes sort of like Dracula has to like he's he's weak against silver, and so like he has to fight Mehmed in this like pit covered in silver. And you know what, that is a novel concept that you threw in right at the end. Sometimes the kind of comic booky stuff. I love comics. The stuff that's sort of hokey, I'm into it. And I just wish they had like, I don't know, they could have committed to it more. Like really have Dracula get fucked up in that pit. Like really do the EC dub shit with it, Go nuts with it. And it was a cool concept that was like right at the end. And so I'm like a sign of like, oh, hey, someone had something interesting that they wanted to do. And it just sort of like goes by in a second.
So true. Okay, so what we like to do, Lan, at the end of the show here is that you've got the Google Docs from Will and I, and we each like to pick a note from the others that we found funny. So I was going to go on Will's notes first, then Lan, if you want to pick one of Will's as well. So my note for Will, and this is kind of referencing something that went viral after the 2024 Eggers Nosferatu, which was common loon call at the 239 mark, not native to Transylvania.
It's true. It is true.
Because a tweet kind of mentioning that in Eggers Nosferatu really made the rounds last year. And Will, I know that you are an avid birder, so I just found it very funny about you being like,
I pulled it up. I pulled up the like my Merlin ID app, and I looked up the like loon, the mating locations, and they're just our general area, nowhere near Transylvania. And sorry. I know they sound spooky and mournful, but like you can't just go throwing that in willy-nilly. What am I going to believe? This is some sort of magic loon? I sure hope somebody got fired for that blunder.
Look, at the end of the day, a wizard did it.
That's a great pull quote. That's so good. Oh. And what's your note from Will, Ann?
Buddy, talk to your wife.
My God, yes. Please, fuck's sake. Just talk to your wife. Jesus Christ.
Just talk to your wife.
Just talk to your wife.
That's, again, I don't believe them as, like, this couple, and I know they're supposed to be just a tragic couple, and that's fine. But I didn't even believe them as, like, anything together. Again, we're going back to negative chemistry. And that was a good part of it. He doesn't really treat her as an equal. He doesn't treat her as a love interest. And So when something like this happens, that should have been an instinct to be like, hey, weird thing happened to me at work today. You're not going to believe it.
Went into a cave. Don't worry about it. Well, maybe worry.
Not now, kitten. Daddy's just going through his Faustian bargain.
Shut up. Oh, that's good. All right, what about you? What you picking from my horrible chicken scrolls here?
Okay, I think mine is, and the phrasing of this is just perfect, is what in the Ghost Rider fuck is this?
I believe that was referring to some of the like vampire POV shots that are like really strangely affected, where they look like the fucking Ghost Rider, man.
Because you talked about a lot of these already, but I do like the Luke Evans proudly giving us nothing.
Yeah, man. Oh, Nothing King. Wow.
And that was pretty good. And then also the reincarnated Mina thing at the end, where it's like he sees his wife, maybe question mark, at the cafe restaurant or something. Again, I hate that. I hate that shit so much.
So fucking annoying. Well, a couple things before we wrap up here. Lan, please take this opportunity to plug a project of yours, because I know that you have cool projects.
Oh, thank you. I think they're cool. I'm glad you do as well. Thank God. And so I don't know. I don't really write. If I do have I just signed I'm about to have a meeting next month about my 2026 project. I'm pairing up with a good friend of mine again, and I'll tell you about that in a second. But so March 17th, we have Beat Everyone Up from Mad Cave, Maverick. Uh, Coming out. It's my graphic novel with Joe Hunter and Frank Svetkovic. We elevator pitched it as Sailor Moon meets Double Dragon, and I hope people like it. I actually like this. It's a great pitch, right? It's just a quick elevator pitch. And so it's available pre-order now at barnesandnoble.com. Just look up Beat Everyone Up. That's Beat Every One number dash UP. I like puns. I think it'd be fun. I hope everyone likes it. If you don't, yell at me at the internet. If you like it, yell at me at the internet. Whatever. Thanks for reading. Thanks for reading. That's all I can really say. So, but yeah, that's my thing coming up right now that I'm about to get into annoyingly promo mode about it, but that's okay, because we should talk about the things we fucking love and fucking do. So
Amen. Well, as our guest, you do get the honor of reading the Dracula tweet in our group chat. I have replied to a message of mine I sent last time.
I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please, whenever you feel the mood move you.
It's a gentrifier who moved to Transylvania. Amanda, call the cops. They're out here doing the mash again.
This is so good. Oh, I love Dracula Twitter, you guys. There's so many good Dracula tweets out there. Lan, I would like to personally thank you for watching this movie and then dealing with Will and my antics more than once, even though you are a truth teller who has been targeted by Big Drac.
I just want this to work because I just want this to work. I can only talk about Dracula so many times in my life. I feel like I've used up 2 of them when I should have had none of
It's
them.
your monkey's paw, but like specifically for Dracula. Oh, it's so good. Well, until next time, folks, thank you so much for joining us.
Bye.